This week we've started with the basics of rounding numbers. And now, today, can you take a number and round it to the tens, the hundreds, and the thousands place? I'll show you the trick that I use to make sure that I'm always rounding to the correct number, whether I'm rounding to the tens, hundreds, or thousands. Let's go. Okay, let's take a number 4,375, round it to the nearest thousand. So here's the trick that I use. I always underline the place value that I'm going to. So the thousands place is right here. There's a 4 in the thousands place. So if I look at all the possible thousands that I can round to, I know that this number is more than 4,000, see, because there's digits after it. So it's between 4,000 and 5,000, somewhere in there. And that is what I'm going to write for my number line. So we'll be using the same number line all week. So you're going to the nearest thousand, so this is a little bit more than 4,000, but it's less than 5,000. Now, what is half of 1,000? 500. So 4,500 would be right in the middle. And I know that 375, if I just look back at the place behind where I'm rounding to, 375 is less than 500. So 4,375 would go about there and would round down to 4,000. So let's now take the same number and round to the hundreds place. So if you're rounding this number to the nearest hundred, let's start by underlining the hundreds place there, 300s. And it might help you to just focus on everything from the hundreds place and back. It might be easier for you because if you're just thinking about rounding 375 to the nearest hundred, that might be easier than if you have the 4 distracting you. So if I have my hundreds rounding options, I know that 375 is a little bit more than 300, but less than 400. So I can make my number line based on that. So 375 is more than 300, but it's less than 400. Of course, I can't forget about that 4,000, so I can just change that this is actually 4,300 to 4,400. And then what's right in between 300 and 400? Right, 350. 350. But again, this is 4,350 I need to remember. Now, if I figure out where to put this number on the number line, again, I'm just looking at the hundreds place and back. So if I cover up the thousands place, I can see, oh yeah, I know that 375 is greater than 350. It goes about right here. So 4,375 is greater than 4,350, so it will round up to 4,400. Okay, now finally, let's round this number to the nearest 10. So again, the 7 is in the tens place. See, this is why we were practicing so much with place value. So if we just think about this number as 75, it kind of makes me it makes it a lot easier for me to determine where to round to. So if I've got a 7 in the tens place, I know that I'm going to be between 70 and 80. So let me draw that on my number line, between 70 and 80. And then what's right in between 70 and 80? Yep, 75. But remember, we can't forget about these other places here. We're actually rounding between 4,370 and 4,380. So right in between would be 4,375. Okay. Now, if we're trying to figure out where this number goes on this number line, again, we can just look at the tens place and back. And oh, here it is, right here, 4,375. The number we're trying to round is right in the midway point between these two. Remember what we do then? Well, mathematicians had to make a decision, and they say, okay, if we're right in the middle, we're just going to go up every time to 4,380. Whoa, now we've got some real big guns here. 15,627. We got a 5-digit number, and we want to round it to the nearest 10,000. Which place is that? Well, that's the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. This is the 10,000s place. So the nearest 10,000, well, let's look at our number lines. And here are all the tens, here are all the hundreds, here are all the thousands we could round to, and here are the 10,000s. So between which two 10,000s would this number fall? Well, there's a 1 in the 10,000s place, so it must be a little bit more than 10,000 and less than 20,000. So let me put that on my number line. It's between 10,000 and 20,000. I can see from this number line, it's somewhere in the middle. So it would be halfway between these. Well, let's look at it this way. If this was just 10 and 20, what's halfway between 10 and 20? That's right, 15. The 15,000 would be halfway between 10,000 and 20,000. Now let's go back to this number, 15,627. Well, that's a little bit greater than 15,000 because here there's a 6 in the hundreds place, which is more than a 0 in the hundreds place. So it's a little bit over to this side of 15,000. And because this number is greater than halfway between these two rounding options, we're going to round up to 20,000. And 15,627 to the nearest 10,000 is 20,000. Okay, let's take that same number, round it to the nearest 1,000. So for our number lines, you're going to need this thousands number line. You need to think, which two thousands does it come between? All right. 5 is in the thousands place in this number, so this number is going to come between 5 and 6,000 because there's a 5 in the thousands place here between 5,000 and 6,000. But wait a minute, we can't forget that there's also a 1 in the 10,000s place. So now this number falls somewhere between 15,000 and 16,000. Okay, what would be halfway between these? Okay, between 15 and 16 would be 15 and a half, right? Well, I can think of it this way. If I'm going to the thousands place, go back to the place behind, and what if I put a 5 in that place, because 5 is half of 10? It would be this, 15,500. Because we have a span of 1,000 between these two, right? And half of 1,000 is 500. So where does 15,627 fit in? Well, 627 is a little bit more than 500. So since this number is greater than halfway, it rounds up to 16,000 if we're rounding to the nearest 1,000. The last one we'll do is rounding this same number, 15,627, to the nearest 100. This is the hundreds place. There's a 6 in the hundreds place. So look at our rounding options for the hundreds. Where would this fall? That's right, it has 600, so it would fall between 600 and 700. But this is not just 627, it's 15,627, so I need to add the 15,000 here. Okay, so between 15,600 and 15,700. What would be halfway between these? Well, we've got a gap of 100 between here, so what's 1/2 of 100 is 50, right? So right in between 600 and 700 would be 650, but again, this is 15,650. And 27, I'm looking at this, if this is just 627, 627 would be in between 600 and 650, be about right here. 15,627. So now the number that I'm trying to round is less than the midway point. So I'm going to round down to 15,600. 15,627 to the nearest hundred is 15,600. Well, look at me now. It took me so long to put together this lesson that it's a new day and I've got a new shirt on. So today's magic word is stripes. For my new striped shirt, stripes is the magic word for today. Okay, have fun doing your math.